Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. And where you been? If you're returning, how you doing? Grab that coffee. Definitely a snack, possibly 3. You're gonna need it to get through what I'm about to tell you. All right, so let's get into it. What we're going to be talking about today is the signs of a societal collapse. And this is what we've been seeing, not just here, but also abroad. All right. And society is collapsing. All right. And if you don't know what the actual definition is of a societal collapse, it is the fall of a complex human society characterized by the loss of cultural identity and of socioeconomic complexity, the downfall of government, and the rise of violence. All right, now we are seeing this in everyday life. All right, turn on the news, watch YouTube, okay? And I'm going to leave specific videos that I have found myself that will describe this in what we're seeing. And it's not just civilians either. It's not. Okay. So what is causing all of this, and what are the signs? All right. Instability, okay, of the economy. Changes in house prices and assets. Fluctuations in the stock market. Global credit markets. Changes in interest rates, global factors, government debt crisis, black swan events, erratic leadership. Now, what are the effects of economic instability? Okay, well, economic instability can have a number of negative effects, okay, and on the overall welfare of people and nations, by creating an environment in which economic assets lose value and investment is hindered, stopped, and this can lead to unemployment, economic recession, or in extreme cases, societal collapse. All right, and mass hysteria refers to an outbreak of unusual, uncharacteristic behaviors, thoughts, feelings, health problems, symptoms shared amongst a group of people. People affected by this mass hysteria typically believe something specific has triggered their symptom. Screen addiction is a group of behaviors that are negative. Some negative outcomes that can happen when we choose too much technology during our days. So, prolonged use of watching TV, video games, scrolling through social media, all of that. Acts like a digital drug for our brains. So, superpowers, okay, they're not impressive, right? Italy, Greece, Ethiopia, Egypt, Britain, Spain, Portugal, okay? They've all ruled the world for a time before sliding back to just regular old nation status. Now it's America's turn. The United States is going to collapse. Look at what's happening in Britain, UK, okay? 50 of the top leaders just gone, resigned, quit. This isn't fear-mongering. I don't do that. It's just Everyone knows it. We've all talked about this. Okay? Now, whether in 5 years, 50 years, the days of America as a global superpower is numbered. In the same way that Rome pulled back its troops from Alexandria in Egypt and the Scottish borders in Britain, the American military industrial complex will continue to work. It started in Afghanistan, eventually withdrew its 800 global military bases in order to make a last-ditch effort to enslave its own people in a soft totalitarian surveillance state. And then it'll collapse. Die-hard nationalists insist it could never happen, but the signs of American collapse, it's obvious. Okay. Number 1, wealth inequality. American income inequality is growing. Higher than the Roman Empire, in fact. The stats on wealth inequality is crazy. All right. Now, never mind the gilded age of corporate tyrants like Vanderbilt, Carnegie, Rockefeller. Today's billionaires control more wealth and political power than the monopolist of the past could ever have dreamed. And while extreme right-siders, right-wingers, whatever you want to call us, okay, right, left, middle, whatever, who cares, right? Everyone is quick to shout, communism, socialism, whatever word you want to use, right on? What people are failing to realize is there's no advocating for central ownership or central control of the economy. And that's what billionaires are working on. Now, number 2, it's debt. The numbers are staggering. American, it's like 29 million, trillion in federal debt. It's probably more now. I haven't really checked up on that. Matter of fact, let's do that now. Hang on. Okay, well, according to this website, it's called truthandaccounting.org. The U.S. published national debt is over 31 trillion. The truth? Jesus. Wow. I didn't even know the number could even go that high. 143, 145, keeps just going up. 146, 300, holy shit. I can't even. It's actually about 129 trillion. Maybe even bigger. I'll leave that link for you. So, 500,000 American families are systematically forced into bankruptcy every single year. Now, you could choose to or not choose to listen to modern monetary theory boosters who think we can just pile up debt forever and it'll never destroy our society. The bell will toll, and it will toll for all of us. Now, don't get me wrong here, okay? The MMTers are technically right. We can print money forever. But every unbacked printed dollar erodes trust and purchasing power. When society is built on a literal lie, it's only a matter of time before it fails and it falls. Now, the third one is economic instability. Because of how hyper elites have structured the economy, we're stuck with permanent economic instability, insane asset bubbles. Look at the housing bubble right now, okay? Followed by massive crashes, 2008, for example, that hurt those who, A, didn't benefit in the good times, or B, suffer most in the bad times. And while it's never occurred to corporations who control our countries, people want to live in economically stable places. And because America refuses to deliver on true, long-term economic stability for the majority, it's no wonder we're currently seeing a national strike, and why many of us with the power to do so have already moved across seas. Now, the number 4 is homeownership in crises. Rentership as well. Okay. Now, you remember the moratoriums and all that, right? It happened not too long ago. Okay. Now, we've been sounding the alarm on this for quite some time here. Okay. And people have no idea the tidal wave that's about to shatter the American middle class. That means you and I. Okay. Housing prices are going to about $10 million in our lifetime. And if we don't ban for-profit residential real estate and overthrow the corrupt zoning boards and keep young families from building homes they can afford, see, that's the thing. You should be getting into something that you can afford. All right. We will see homelessness crisis that we've never witnessed before in human history. The 5th one is something called crony corporate politics. Democracy, of course, has never existed in America, but the corporate oligarchy now owns Congress, lock, stock, and barrel. There is honestly no point in voting unless it's with your money. Now, number 6 is environmental instability. So, our environment, just look at the weird weather patterns. A lot of us think it's manipulated by man, which is true in a lot of aspects. It's really simple. Nations that don't protect people, wildlife, soil, water, and air eventually go extinct. It's not personal, it's science. As one person put it, you can't eat, drink, or breathe money. It takes 1,000 years for nature to grow 3 centimeters of topsoil. And America has managed to burn through several feet in the past century. Now, America only has 60 harvests left. Wow. Imagine that. 60 harvests left. Think about that. The next one, which is the seventh one, is what is referred to as the vampire economy. So let's just face it now. The American productive economy is dead. And most of the major brands are like zombie companies, okay, that burn cash and have never been profitable a day in their short-lived corporate lives. Most, rather than producing products and services of real value, shall I say, corporate America is just a giant game of shite. Of rent-seeking skimmers who blood-suck time, wealth from productive poor while contributing nothing of real value. Landlords, bankers, stock investors, crypto speculators who would rather treat Bitcoin as a Ponzi scheme instead of freedom money to stave off abhorrent central bank surveillance currencies. When a nation stops creating real value and starts eating itself like a snake, its days are mathematically numbered. Now, number 8, mass hysteria. Looking at people like who are anti-anything, anti-vax, the Q, you know, my husband is one of those. Cancel culturist. People who vote for either you're Republican or you're Democrat. There is no either, you know what I mean? You can't see things from both sides of the fence. You're either this or you're that, right? America is now filled with conspiracy theories, signaling a total breakdown of personal understanding, civic goodwill, institutional trust, a national unity. Feels like if you're not this, you're that. I've lost contact with many people because they did not agree with the fact that I voted for this person and not that person. Because I didn't take the arm candy and they did, even though I have medical exemption. So that's what I'm referring to when it comes to mass hysteria. Okay. Now the 9th one is the screen addiction. The invention of the smartphones will surely go down in history as one of the most destructive pieces of technology ever invented. Look at our teenagers, for crying out loud. Their phones are literally stuck to their heads. I could care less if I pick this thing up. Okay. Homo sapiens are in no way adapted for the super stimulus of digital outputs. Between social media, streaming, gaming, shopping addictions, we're breaking our necks, frying our eyes, and shattering any sense of offline meaning or belonging. Just wait until Gen Z and Gen Alpha are in charge. We can at least entertain ourselves without the use of internet. We know how to read a book. They don't. We know how to play a card game without the use of a computer. And the next one is individualism. America is a culture. From Latin to Italian to African American to Asian, it's all culture, and it's beautiful. But it's a dog-eat-dog survival of the fittest. Winner takes all. Loser dies in poverty, where the rich prey on the poor and the masses suffer so the elites can live a longer and better life. America is a piece of glass that has been shattered into millions and millions of shards, each stabbing the next in a frantic fight for survival. Only a hard fire can forge the pieces back together. And there are those who believe, like a Canadian living or a European living, it's better than living here in America. But of course, a lot of us will never know that. America is fractured, itemized nation, with each member so hell-bent on self-actualization, obsessed on concocting a singular, unique identity, and blinded by the idea that anatomy and freedom are the same thing. Because the nation cannot fathom it shares one common freedom. It simply cannot surrender any amount of selfhood to the collective, despite the fact that human togetherness is the number one thing correlated to human happiness. But not just that. There's only one race, the human race. We can have all the different nationalities we want, but there's only one race. But this isn't the end, though. It's really not. You see, all the empires will fall. It's a non-negotiable. It's just a matter of when, how hard. Collapse doesn't necessarily mean disappearance by any means, no. And it doesn't necessarily mean a total dystopian hellscape, like the movie The Book of Eli, right? But it does mean a loss of global superpower, status, all the unfair advantages that came along with it, like currency supremacy, cheap goods. Means a country seriously diminished, greatly impoverished, racked with crime, disease, exploitation, and subject to the whims of foreign corporatists, hell-bent on extraction. And you know, like much of the rest of the world, collapse shouldn't sit well with any of you. Everyone needs to be working on solutions. Peacefully turning the American landmass into a dozen or so new nations is highly preferable to a bloody second civil war. The goal, of course, shouldn't be to maintain a hyper-violent military empire. No. A coercive global economic grasp on others. It's time for new ideas, ancient ideas, real servant-hearted leadership working together, community. We shouldn't mourn the loss of corporate-controlled America as the global superpower. Look what they've done. It's a monstrous menace to global freedom and widest spread well-being. Now, does that mean this is China's century? Maybe. They already own America's largest pork producers, and China's largest dairy farms, but a third of their domestic economy is a giant real estate bubble that could seriously slow their growth. But China's rise to global superpower will all depend on their continued colonization of Africa and their ability to debt trap the world via their Belt and Road Initiative, practicing capitalism abroad to enforce fake communism at home. And clearly the world doesn't need or want a conformist culture to dictate global policy. People often say that America is still the world's best hope for freedom, but as billions of people who have endured the heavy hammer of the American industrial complex can attest, it's simply just not true. Modern corporate America doesn't equal hope. No self-centered human institution can ever deliver the freedom that people truly need. But don't worry, America is not going anywhere. After all, Rome is as gorgeous as ever. Athens is amazing. America, the superpower, is waning. But that doesn't mean that Concord won't always be a gorgeous place to visit. Texas will probably always be the barbecue capital of the world. Maybe Canada or Mexico will annex America and finally provide free health care to the poor. And if the 50 states decide to split up, which they almost certainly will in time, you never know if a united Maine, New Hampshire, might rule a world in desperate need of lumber and fresh water. Or maybe we just don't need superpowers anymore. Maybe it's time for tinyism and a million little democracies. Either way, the United States of America won't be around to see it happen, unfortunately. But like I said, I'm leaving links for you guys so you can see everything that I'm talking about, even videos. So you can see what I'm seeing. All right. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. You stay safe. You stay positive. You keep prepping. And as always,